Howdy, friends. Welcome to round 2 of our Small Tuesday locals. In this game, we have me versus Caleb. Caleb is in this match playing old deck, I should say. Not even a new deck, just an older deck that he hasn't played in a while. Mannadium, which when Baronne was out, I mean, they're still really good, which you'll see, like the combo lines and everything else that they have is still really strong. But he hasn't played this since the ban list, since Baronne got hit, and he's giving it a test run again, which I liked. I always liked the deck. I think there was really good spam summoning. But without Baronne, I think they're now weaker to Nib. But since Tempis are out, I mean, not a lot of people are on Nib anyway. Well, I think they still are, actually. He's still really strong. But looking at it, he won the die roll. He gets to go first. And I was actually very curious to see what his end board is now. Before, they'd end on a Baronne negate. They just have so many negates and interruptions. And he was always really powerful. And it's really fun to see. I apologize about the glare. Where we had the camera set up was just right above the light, and didn't see or notice it until it was too late. So just kind of stick through it. So hopefully you can hear kind of what we're doing and what we're summoning. But I've said this before in the videos. We are all playing kind of newer decks. Mine again is the 60 card Goblin deck, rank 3 spam deck. Man, I really don't remember where to stop. Mannadium. Wow, I'm going to struggle with that. Screw that name. And I can't remember where to interrupt them. So I was like, I don't know, Ash, see if it stops them, which obviously it doesn't. They can just keep going. You really need to open up multiple hand traps if you really want to stun that deck. But yeah, Caleb decided to give this a test run again. It was either this one, Ubel, or Voiceless Voice, and I like Ubel personally, but it was really fun to kind of see what this deck can still do. So, on his first turn, I think he ends up on a pretty decent board that is kind of almost impossible for you to break, but I still try. I always will. Try my best to see what interactions they do and how well they work. I think the deck still loses to Droll. They search so much that if you were to draw them in the first, they could potentially be hurt and die. Board breakers. I think now they're mostly, and I guess that's why Dissipator went up so much, is they run a Dissipator package and a Appaloosa with Chaos Angel. And if you don't have the Imperm droplets or any kind of back row spell or trap destruction, I mean, Chaos Angel can just run right over you. It could be a real problem card. But looking into this, I think he ends up with a pretty strong board, and I don't think I can break through it, but you can watch. If you see anything that we all misplays, please leave it in the comments. Just say, hey, maybe next time search this or do this. I mean, it's very helpful. I know a couple of you have already done that, which has actually helped us a lot. It's been a lot of really nice to see, like, oh, you could have done this or, activated that, or, hey, you're not supposed to or allowed to do this. So thank you guys for that. Otherwise, kind of see what he does here and see if I can get through it. I vaguely remember, I just reading all of my cards, playing a new deck, it's very frustrating. So.
Whoa. Sure.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm so far in my depth. If I could read hard to add. Part of me wants to say 10 bucks might get supper at Burger King, but I don't know if there's anything in there that'll even make that.
No, that agenda's always going to be done. It's definitely on the lower end. Like how scratched up.
Dude, it's like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's from the reprint one. Which one, Jack? The little ball?
Yep. Special meat?
Sure.
Summon Astrolog. Targeting the top.
Sure.
Go meat chain 1, clearing chain 2.
Sure.
You return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. Stays like something.
Sure.
I didn't even want that card. It's so awesome. I love that. It's like Rihanna, that's not very useful.
Now, on the board that he's establishing here, God, that fusion is so good. So I think, and he does say this, I believe in this game as well, but he does do the Crimson Dragon. I think the Crimson Dragon Calamity is now probably the best in the deck itself. Just being able to make a calamities, make it so your opponent can't play is so strong. But in this, he didn't build that version of this deck in this video. He's just using it to get a cheat out Dissipator, which is still really strong. I mean, they always are going to have banished. They can just abuse that fusion. A fusion summoning is not once per turn. I guess it'd be more contact fusing, if you will, but just banish to special, and they can keep doing it. Level 8, I believe. So, really strong. But yeah, I think as he was talking later on, he was kind of saying like, hey, I think the Calamities is probably the best route to go with because it's really strong. But
Yeah, I'm about to lose so.
and I mean, who wants to play Yu-Gi-Oh? Really? Just it looks like no one's getting a turn, or you're not getting a turn. So
Fusion? What? Which one did you use?
Make it.
Oh, and this causes a dark?
Oh, no, just light.
Oh, it's just a
Yeah,
light.
yeah.
Can I be destroyed by battle? So it can be destroyed by battle. Okay.
We'll go Dissipator effect for targeting special.
Sure.
At the end of it, so you have to be actively going to it. You don't like get to do it, but you still get to play. Yeah, so I can do that right now. Yes.
The fusion's not once per turn.
Oh, wait, no, that's
Just keep doing it.
That's
You're good.
once every turn.
Effective cross sheet.
So
Sure.
then
Targeting.
we
Or
have
doesn't
some-
target. No, target.
Destroy it if you do.
Summon.
Sure.
Go summon by banishing. Actually, I'll banish this banishing.
Sure. He's making an apple loser.
Apple 4.
Sure.
Big apple. And then I will.
Alrighty. Drop. Draw, stand by main. Yep. Pop, negate, to upstart.
No
You gain 1,000.
way.
Draw a card.
Oh my god.
One in hand.
One in hand.
Hell yeah.
Man, this is so sad without
Yeah. It's a little easier,
Chaos Age
but
is so ass.
that's the problem. It's tough to do bug luck next time. Add a gold pride, and then I take damage equal to its attack.
Yep.
And we said these activate, right?
Yes, because there's a cool. Anytime there's a core.
Captain Carry. Your life points are lower. I'll attempt to activate Captain Carry to special. Yeah, man.
Activate or use one. Okay, yeah, we'll go arrow.
Sure. Whoops, I take 9.
But yeah, like remark something like during the main phase, if this card's in your hand, pull one. Versus like right card, it just says special summon this card to a zone adjacent to your link.
Gotcha.
And there's no colon.
Negates effects. Foxy. Pitching itself is cost. And if you allow it, I send one other card and special. Normal Captain Carry. Effective Captain Carry to add a gold pride drop. My deck to my hand. Shuffle it back.
No, some of the specials on my turn.
Yeah, when you normal or special.
I literally can't. It says destroy her.
Set 3.
Draw if I wanted to.
Go ahead.
Draw.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Yeah.
Name.
Yeah.
Kind of normal or special.
Yeah.
Attack.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where one of my misplays would be. So currently I have the Phantom Knight Fogblade and the Monster Reborn Gold Pride. So the Gold Pride Monster Reborn, its effect is it special summons a Gold Pride from your hand or graveyard. Your opponent can special summon a monster from their graveyard, but its effects are negated. I should have activated that. He would have potentially special summoned a monster back, and then I could have used my trap. But instead, I kind of just, and he enters battle phase right away. I Fogblade the Dissipator to negate its effects, and then he can't attack with it to kind of block damage. And I that's kind of, in my opinion, where I misplay. Now, it could have gone in any direction. He could have very well just chosen not to summon a monster when I activate the spell to bring back a monster. But so here he normal summons, and it's kind of where, in my opinion, this is where it was a little rougher because he still has a negate for 2 Appaloosa. So I chain the trap. I reveal 2 Gold Pride, Golden, and I believe it was a Rollerballer. And man, if he had hit Rollerballer, I mean, he had the Appaloosa still, but it would have been just really interesting to see what would have happened. But he hits the Gold Pride, the Golden Pony guy, and yeah. So I replayed because I rewatched this as well, and I was like, man, if I had chained the spell right away when he before battle, I could have brought back, kept the Fogblade, brought back something to kind of quick play synchro and things. I think it would have been a little bit different. Now in my mind, that was my mentality. I mean, there were so many different interactions, so I just kind of went, let's just battle phase, block and attack will be good. So, and then here, I'm thinking if I can get a big enough monster he'll negate with the Appaloosa, which he ends up doing, and I could just swing over it. But he ends up using, because Appaloosa with 1 is kind of useless. It's so weak, so easy to kill, so he ends up using it, and that's kind of where I misplayed.
Did you guys all get a room together? No, it's just me and Zach.
Do it. Please.
Yeah. One. Not when it's activated, I add, I take damage. But every time a gold pride monster from the extra deck is returned back to the deck, I draw a card. So Synchro or whatever.
Let's go access code effect. Destroy.
On res. That came out of nowhere. So I special summon a gold pride from my graveyard, and you special summon 1 monster from your graveyard, but its effects are negated.
I'm gonna try to build something. Is that the same? Some people usually don't. I think there's a double trick. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like stare at it and I think grab your sword, play team, sing grab your swords, and everything's got 3 damage.
Anything on res?
Request for metal, move damage, kill everything.
Leon's effect to Synchro. Pop it?
Yep.
Sure.
Or it doesn't negate, it destroys. Or but you can't.
Yep, because I have no targets to Synchro.
Let's go. Access code.
Sure. Yep.
Dissipator effects.
Sure.
Targeting special.
Yeah.
Effects is a special to search.
Synchro when you summon access. Pay for your dinner. Take your binder, man. Because I'm gonna look through it and I'm gonna be so sad if it's nothing in there and it's just you're standing there.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean they've looked through it. If they're going to tell you that $7 is going to be worth it,
Garbage cut. Imagining revealing. Draw 2, place 1 on bottom.
And that added you that.
Right. Yep, that added. Got any Mannadium card.
Actually,
PayPal?
I know, right?
Can I borrow it and then just pay him and then I'll just bundle you?
Yep.
Please.
So yeah, he ends up just clearing my board. If I had kept the Fog Blade instead, negate when I was going to synchro, I could have synchroed, pop his access. I mean, I could have taken the damage and still, potentially survived. Then I could have just been really, really low, trying my best. I would have been able to at least stop the access. But nope, he ends up clearing out my board. He does Omega the 1 Imseti, which would have saved my life. But I drew King Sark. I was like, oh wow, what a draw. But he ends up negating the King Sark anyway. So I kind of just scoop it up. So kind of just go, yeah, there's nothing I can do, and he's just gonna access code beat me down, and I got no recursion, so
That's all I have anyway.
we end up just kind of scooping it up. So
I say I can recycle all my balls.
going into game 2, and that game took about, I think, 20 minutes of time, so we're already down half the game. And looking into it, I mean, I think Caleb himself said that he did misplay quite a bit as well there too. I think one of them that he mentioned was the trap. I think it does end up. I can't remember what the misplays he was talking about, but he did say he kind of screwed a couple things up. But I mean, first time back with the deck after so long, you kind of have to refigure out all the lines and all the combos now, since it is kind of different. I do like the Crimson Dragon play to make and cheat out Dispater. I mean, if you're running a deck that can feed banish stuff, as easily as Mannadiums can, it's so good to just make a Chaos Angel, which people already struggle with. They have to use a negate from the spell and trap on it, and you can just cheat out a Dispater, which is just a negate and or a pop. I kind of want to try that out in my Centurion's build later. Just cheese out a Chaos Angel, which cheeses out the Dispater. I mean, Dispater itself is just so strong. I mean, that's why it jumped up. Almost that Appaloosa. I mean, it's pretty fun. So looking into it, we're sliding in. I think I decide I go first. I don't know what to take out. I don't even know what the deck does. So it was kind of tough for me. I just know put in stuff to stop synchros. But I think I had a talk with Caleb, and I'm like, I just put in Deep Barrier for synchros. And he's like, yo, no, I would have just gone Fusion and then Link spammed and kind of just always have an out. And it's like, oh, that's, yeah, that's fair.
What are the chances I see 6 cards in a 60 card pile?
It's like 100% in your.
100%, yeah?
It's like $7. He draws everything.
I'll look. Yeah. Once you guys play, I'll go.
You get that.
Do you have anything?
I just no, which is fair.
I'm glad you guys were here.
I just was. He's like, if it pays for dinner tonight, I'm like, yeah, here you go. Here's $13 or some shit. It was all.
I wish that
There's a guy who on Market Watch. I'll go first, by the way. There's a person on Market Watch who also posts stuff, and I'm like, dude, this stuff is not worth $600. Like, what do you? Oh my god. Draw, stand my main.
I haven't had anybody bring any Yu-Gi-Oh in a while.
I haven't had you reach out to me either.
No,
in a minute.
there's not that much.
Well, if you got it, right?
Usually I tell them to show up on either Tuesday nights or Sunday.
So here I'm like, well, if he has, Droll, I'll cry because so since I've played David round 1 and I just lost to Droll, I'm like, well, now I'm just gonna have to cheese out or make my first search really powerful. So I basically make the first search being Imseti to search. And then here it was an interesting interaction. I mean, it's a repairable game state, but he ends up activating not Dispater, Bestial Druid Swarm. That's what it is. And I think we don't realize it until, we don't really actually continue on the gameplay. You'll see here. So I activate King Sark, and then he chains his Bestial to target Imseti. And Bestial, Druid Swarm, any of the Bestials, they can only activate their quick effect if I control a monster. So I was like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, like, okay, he did that so that I would have to waste my hand. But I'm like, you know what? It actually helps. I'm like, I'll activate triple tactics. And I was like, wait a second. Yep. So I'm like, wait, you can't do that. Which I would have been fine with. I would have been A-okay with him doing it. Now, normally, I special Imseti first because of Ghost Ogre, but my brain was just fried, and I totally forgot that Ghost Ogre is still a card. So I attempt to activate King Sark right away, and of course he has it. And so I'm like, well, I know he's got the dissipator, or not the dissipator, excuse me, the Druid Swarm. So I'm gonna try to do other stuff first. And he knows I have the talents, so it's kind of like, well, I'm either gonna draw two or I'm gonna peek at his hand. So
I take 900. I'm just gonna
Yeah, they
copy
switched
at the
over to
bottom.
what they call a play booster now.
Attempt
It's
to
like a draft pack, but it's got more hits.
King Sark.
They justify charge a little bit more for that.
That's no big deal. Because every time I think about Magic, it's such a high wall of interest for me. I can't even fathom trying to learn because it's just decades into it. I have to learn everything from the ground up. I've got to memorize all the card names, all of the things. All I know is my mana crypt, so
You can banish this card from the graveyard, add one to the Phantom Knight's card from the deck to your hand. Add Phantom Knight's card?
That's all I know.
Yeah.
And the Force Walker, I think, is one of them.
You know, I could give
Yeah, it's an ability.
Whatever I'll see on
You
YouTube.
could have, but you fucking parents.
now I have never played the Phantom Knight cards before, so I have no idea if I'm even doing that line correctly. To just, I'm like, is this the one I'm supposed to add? So, looking at what I had in my hand, which is a Gold Pride, I decided to peek at his hand instead of just plussing two. That way I can stop anything else. The problem I had here was the end board that I know that I'm going to end on is just going to be all back row and no Omni Negates. I run one Omni Negate in there, which is the Emancipator Synchro level 8, because the Goblin monster is a water. And if you have a water in the graveyard while you have the Emancipator Synchro, it's a free spell and trap negate. So I have so many monster negates. I have bamboozling. I mean, I can make a Shuriken, but it doesn't help against back row. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, I have to basically hit Imperm because he stops me. But if I hit Imperm, I can't continue my play. You know, if I hit Imperm, I can continue my play, but he's just gonna destroy everything with Lightning Storm. So I have like nothing else that I could have done. So I'm like, oh well, we'll just if he Lightning Storms, I'll just have to chain everything, and hope I draw something decent. So that it was a really tough choice, either Lightning Storm or Imperm. I don't know what he would have impermed. So far, as many times as I've played with the deck, everyone always knows hit the Gabunga, the Goblin XYZ. Just hit that and they cry. So, which is true. Like stopping it is pretty strong.
He's a goblin gamer.
He's a Goblin gamer.
I think card games right now are
Gabunga effect, add a Goblin monster.
And I think out of all of the games, at least the recorded games, I have not successfully got Gabanga off correctly. It's always been stopped, impermed, negated, or destroyed. So it was like finally I get to freaking do the Goblin play, and the Gabanga is searching for the monster. That monster is just a free. It starts just everything. Search the spell searches, but again searching, I just lose to Droll so hard. So. Now I'm not familiar with the lines. Again, I just wanted to play something different, something new, and I'll keep practicing with it. But man, did I not like it! I was like, I think I'm gonna change this and just go to something different. Like, I'm not happy with how this went down. I do. Tom Greeley always shows up, and he played this for a minute, and it wasn't terrible. It was just really tough to kind of remember the lines. He did really good job. It kind of made me want to play him. I'm like, yeah, this looks a little fun. So kudos to him. But I think he went to a meta deck now, so he's on Tempai, which is still really tough to figure out. So.
He's playing Protoss. He has all the attributes. Oh, I should.
You should. How good that'd be to play Protos. You can search for trade, right? You got rank 4 actions.
Oh, totally do 3s and 8s.
That's lame. You gotta play like 3/4.
Captain Carry attached to add a gold prize spell or trap.
Oh wow.
And then if my life points are lower, I can dump.
I guess. It's in my grave and I forgot. For some reason, I only had 4 cards. This happened. Like,
Wait a minute, I didn't draw, guys. I'll dump Roper Baller. Baller. He's balling. I don't think I have much else that I can really do. Let's see this.
So you are doing nice.
I think you're just going to destroy spells at that point. Either way.
like I said, I literally have top deck a starter. I was
Let's go ahead and activate Silent Boots, banish this card, add 1 phantom and spell on trap. Is it from your grave?
Was he even cheating?
Nope, you're done. We're good. Heavy D barrier.
See, I can't play on fun. But I lost on anything.
So you know what you have. Lightning Storm kills me.
Not really.
You're gonna see, yeah.
I have to draw a starter.
What's that, 3?
Oh, right. I have to hit a starter on my top deck.
Oh my god.
This is unless you're on top deck mode too.
Kind of, but we'll see. Even if you're lightning, I think it's safe enough. Let's go end phase. Cherry Carry returns the special.
You say cherry carry?
Chariot Carry.
Cherry carry.
Cherry Carry.
Magician's bitch.
End phase Gabanga attach a Goblin from my deck to this card's material.
I guess. Oh wow.
From your hand, I'll do that. I'll do boom.
Those names, bro.
And I think that's about it.
Draw.
And here's where I also realized that as a misplay on my part. In standby, I should have just activated the spell, the Monster Reborn spell,
That came out of nowhere.
and specialed, and then he would have special summoned a monster, and I could have chained the trap. So that way I'm using both. But I just blanked. I didn't realize. If I had in standby activated the spell to special, he could have specialed the monster from his hand or graveyard, which he would have to get more bodies on the board. I think I'm confusing this misplay with my first misplay in round 1. And now it's too late. Now it's like, oh, well, now I can't even chain the trap. So I kind of realized it too late. Like, oh, I could have done it in standby and then chained the trap and then had an Omni negate. So I'm thinking I'm safe. You know, I still have a pretty decent board, but I realize now I'm like, oh, I actually don't have much. I don't have anything that I could chain, or not much as far as a negate goes. And I know he still has the bestial Druis. So I'm like, yeah, he'll probably be able to kind of go off here. No, I did bring back that. I forget the card is Roller Baller, so I do have 1 interruption, which I'm able to Roller Baller fusion summons into Pinballer, and Pinballer just sucks up. Now this interaction I'm very curious about. So I I think this is how it works. At least this is how I see Snake Eyes doing it. I keep seeing Snake Eyes players stealing Ogre and then using Ogre's effect. So I end up stealing both. And since Ogre is now equipped to Pinballer as an equipped spell, I believe I can still use Ogre's effect on field. That's how I see Snake Eyes doing it. I mean, I saw like 2 Snake Eyes players doing it, and I'm like, so it should be like that. So I do end up doing that. And Caleb's like, you could do that? Dude, it was so funny. I'm like, yeah, that's how I've seen it. Also, Druis, I didn't realize that Druis kind of says something similar. But now this is where I was curious. I have Druis on my side of the field. Druis is sent from the field to the graveyard, it says. You can destroy a special summon monster. So I was like, I'm kind of curious, if I should have. Well, I had to do it. Like, if that's how that interaction works. If Druis is sent, it's the same thing as Ogre. Send this face-up card of the field to the graveyard to pop. And yeah, here we are. Like, wait, that's how that works? And if I'm wrong, oops, I'm sorry, Caleb. My bad. You definitely probably would have had that. But I'm pretty certain that's how that works.
Put it in the spell and trap zone.
I've never heard of it. That's
when
cool.
Ghost Ogre is in the spell and trap zone, don't Snake Eyes use the effect of Ghost Ogre in the spell and trap zone to pop?
I've never seen that. That's crazy. I mean, I don't know you. It is a quick effect. Quick effect sent from hand or field to the grave.
You can send this card, right? Yeah. When a monster on the field activates the effect, you can send this card.
Yeah.
So it's a card.
Yeah, it doesn't have to.
You can send this
That's
card.
crazy. That works.
Destroy that card.
That has to work though. Dude, that's crazy. Right.
Pops it, but you get to add still. Yeah.
Card.
That's what Snake Eyes have been doing all week. Like when I saw Sundays, he's like, yeah, they make Ogre and then they do the flame burst to put it back or something like that. I can't remember. And then they have their Ogre over here, and then they just keep sending it and then popping.
How many cards do you have in hand?
None. 3 lightning storm. Well, I'm better in position right now, but yes, we are, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna add obsidian.
What's obsidian?
Target a monster I control, destroy it. And if you do, add a piece of plant fire from your deck to your hand or control the plant. I can add Mannadium.
You can add one.
Banish it from my grave. Special summon a beast of star possible. 15, 20.
Sure.
That's not good. Shit. Alright. Time to pass.
End phase, Gabanga to equip. Oh boy. Then that's our usage effects. Special.
Yeah, Juice effect.
Oh, would it? Is it the same thing?
Yeah.
This card is sent from field to the graveyard. You can turn one special summon.
What are these fucking cards?
Send it to the graveyard. Is that, if I have it though, does that still work? Yeah.
The trigger the migraine. Sure.
And this one?
Dude, what the fuck are these cards? They need to stop making these like send effects. It's like ridiculous.
So Andrus doesn't target. It does target. This is your end phase. End phase. Let's see, 1 second. Oh, during your opponent's main phase. Oh, okay. Sure. My turn.
Yep.
Draw. Hey, let's go. Oh man. Oh no melon. Let's do Grand Entrance. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Oh, detach material from a monster on either field. No, never mind. Normal. Effective Ziavin, pay 6.
And then here comes my other
Don't
misplay.
worry about
I know he has one card in his hand, and I know it's the Mannadium
You
spell.
guys play Speed Duel?
I was so
Or,
tempted. I can make an 8, and I know I have the water goblin in the graveyard, so it's an Omni negate. That's what I should have done. I should have synchroed for 8, sat on it, but I'm like, no, I can do a psychic and Punisher play and end on a unbeatable, untargetable monster. I didn't realize we only had 5 minutes left, so I should have done the Omni negate and I would have won. I mean, my life points are still lower. I paid life for the punk, but if I had just stopped his one spell, he wouldn't have been able to play. He was top decking. So this was bad mistake number like 4 that day. So yeah, definitely should have ended on the Adamancipator negate. Um, but was more curious, so I pay another 6 to add. Um, and I should have just made the synchro for 8, but
that up. I might have messed up. I should have done the other guy.
Can you know I have a
Spell and trap
in my
negate
hand?
would have been way better.
I just have to top deck something I can summon. That's all I care about. Actually, yeah, that's all I care about. I just need to be able to summon it. And I think I'm okay.
Either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Damn. Add the water. Did I pay 6 already?
Yeah, I did.
I'll add that freaking. Siaman?
Sure.
Foxy to the Vex. Log on.
Sure.
Log on, pay 6. Mm-hmm. What's the difference in our life?
27.
Well, no, I was thinking about this now.
Point.
Not enough.
What is it? Xbox? Is that wrong?
You know, moving with
Look, I didn't mean like
Synchro. Attempt to enter battle.
Yep. 20, 27, 35, 62.
Is it 62? Yep, 62. Attack for 62. Go ahead, man.
Draw.
Should have done the spell trip.
Main.
Yeah.
now this is why I think Mannadiums are scary. Now, if I had ended on the Emancipator negate, I would have been able to stop him there, and he wouldn't have been able to do anything. But I had to do damage. Time was running out, and this is why the deck is scary. He did end up drawing the Meek, and this is what he's able to do with just the Meek and that one spell, the Mannadium spell that he played. Now there is one thing and I'm not gonna. I wasn't gonna remind him. Why would I help my opponent kill me? He forgets that Psychic and Punisher. He thinks that Psychic against Punisher is just in general effect is it's unaffected by opponent's activated effects. He forgot that the clause to that was it's only if your life points are lower. So he's thinking this whole time like, how am I going to get around this? What am I going to do? Maybe I can just establish a board. And then mid combo, he realizes like, oh, I can target it now. It is affected. I go, yeah, it is. And he's like, oh, so he kind of rushes as quick as he can to try to do really fast. I mean, I think we're down to like maybe 2 minutes, if that. I think it's like a minute left. So he's trying to. You can see his hands moving so fast, trying to get to enough damage on board. And I think if he had realized that Psychic End can be targeted and it is affected, he probably would have kept more in attack mode. But instead, he kind of just made everything in defense.
I wanted to see if I could even play them.
But still, really, really scary that all of that was just off of the one spell and the Meek. Like, all of that could happen. Unless I missed something, which is very well possible. I don't know that deck all that well. I've only played it. I played it a handful of times back in the day, but I really can't remember how everything goes for it. So,
Can I destroy your shit? Or I can't target it, right?
No, you can.
Oh
It's-
shit!
It's only if my life points are lower than yours.
I can't
It
target?
can't. It can't be. But I'm. Yeah. That's the only thing right now is he's boosted.
Okay, well, let's go 23, 4. Access code, gain 1,000. Access code effect, banish, destroy.
So he does end up making access, popping, attacking me for 33, but I think he's just missing maybe like 1,000 more. And that results in, because timer, I don't know if you heard the beep, but timer was called, and I definitely would have lost, you know. I mean, everything would have played out differently, but being what it is, we ended on another tie. So I was just on one for ties. No, it was not a great night for me, but thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you see something that we did wrong. Please be kind and leave a like. Thanks.
The tie.
Dude,
I don't want to play. I take a break
I
here.
wish I had 1 more minute. I would have had it.